Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Between the Numbers podcast. We are finally into week 17, so the AFC playoff picture is wrapped up. We know who's going into the playoffs there. There's still some possibilities for the Redskins and the Buccaneers to go through. The Buccaneers have a very odd schedule thing where they need like a bunch of teams to lose. So it's basically not happening for the Bucks, but technically the Redskins can still go through. But that would all be the things that's working for in week 17. Just looking back at week 16, we had some huge things. Obviously, Cleveland with their win over the Chargers, which would have put them out of the number one draft spot if San Francisco didn't beat the Rams. And I don't know, it was just like one of them. Cleveland, you're not as bad as Detroit when Detroit won Norton 16. So well done, Cleveland. You did that well. Also, a fair few injuries we have. We took Chan before. We have Derek Carr, who's no longer going to be quarterback for the Raiders. So they're probably going to be out straight away in the playoffs. Because like he's a beast who carries that team. And obviously, if you're missing your quarterback and you're going into the playoffs, like many of the teams are, oh not many. I mean, like you don't have their starting quarterbacks like the Texans or the Dolphins. But anyway, we'll get into that. So anyway, Will, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think of all the teams that have lost their quarterbacks, I think for the Raiders it's the biggest one because they're such an offense-driven team
Hmm.
that if they take out their quarterback, who's one of the reasons they've done so well this year, it kind of takes the wheels off, and I think they're going to crash out. They'll be one and done in the playoffs. And the teams like Dolphins and Texans, or Texans, they benched their starting quarterback. Dolphins quarterback got injured. They're both teams that don't really rely on their quarterback. They rely on a good
Hmm.
defense. So I don't
Okay,
think it'll be
and
as much as an
yeah,
issue for them, but.
and it's not like throughout the entire season that for the Texans, especially Brock Osweiler has been a confident quarterback because like he's been games where he's thrown under 100 yards and like thrown under 100 yards and they've still won. Um, so I mean,
Yeah,
obviously they got great, good running game there, and then that stellar defense, which I mean, what was it the Texans won the AFC South? I think it's like the third or fourth year in a row. Um, which is
it's a second
so did the second.
second year in a row.
Oh, so, okay, all right. Oh, of course, because the Colts were way better before
Yeah,
that.
the Colts won it before that. Yeah,
Well, anyway,
but yeah, I mean they won it.
yeah, I mean props to the Texans. Basically, for the AFC, it's all wrapped up. So I'll just give you a quick overview in the AFC playoffs. Obviously, you got the number one seed. This isn't going to change with the Patriots. And obviously they'll be number one seed in the AFC, and that they'll have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And looking like without the Raiders having don't have Derek Carr, they'll be in for a tough thing to try and get them all the way to the AFC Championship if that's going to happen. But right now, I mean, I think the Chiefs can go above I think the Chiefs can go above the Texans, the Raiders, into that number two seed, and they can indeed. So that'll be an interesting matchup to see. I mean, I think the Broncos would take huge rush. Obviously, not going to the playoffs this season. If they could stop the Raiders and then the Chiefs pick up the number two seed, that's the only thing that can change in the AFC. Here we have the we have and then here we have the Texans and the number four seeds, right? With which they're just garbage. Then you have the Steelers at the third seed. Uh, they can't go anywhere. They're going to stay as number three. Actually, I'm not even sure if they can if they somehow manage to lose to the Browns, which would be crazy if the Browns went two wins in a row and the Texans lost to the Titans. Now, the Steelers would still be third seed. So, and then here you have
Actually, no, wait.
the
I think the Texans would climb up to third if the Steelers lost and the Texans won because the Texans got a 5-0 divisional record and the Steelers have only got a 4-1 one. So if the Steelers lost to the Browns and the Texans won, that would put them both at 10 and
mm,
6, and that would actually rise the Texans up to the third seed. But that's a highly unlikely
yeah.
scenario.
I mean, just the Browns even getting a win again. It's just well, maybe they're on something here. There's Hugh Jackson saying that maybe this is a turning point in their season and for him. So maybe the Browns go like
It's quite a late time.
yeah, I mean, but like maybe like for say this season and next season they carry on the wins and they just go unbeaten next season as well. But it's the Browns, probably not. Um, But like at least the
No,
Browns won a game.
I think it was quite a typical like Browns way of celebrating that. Okay, they won a game, so that means they were 1-15,
Mm,
and they so they win one game. And for them, celebrating is the 49ers won, so they still get
I
the
know
number one overall pick.
that was great.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff you celebrate as a Browns fan.
Mm. At the same time, at least they're not as bad as Detroit from that season where they went 0-16. So props to you, Cleveland. Well done. You made it. You made it through. You made it with a win. I mean,
And look what happened to Detroit after that 0-16 season. They drafted Matt Stafford, drafted Calvin Johnson, and now they're a team that challenges for the playoffs.
true, true. So maybe that's what Cleveland needed, but at least they don't have to go through the entire or the rest of their lives knowing that they can not get a win. Anyway, do you want to get onto one of your games you want to talk about for this week?
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with the Seahawks Cardinals that was played in Seattle. The Cardinals pulled off a surprise win, 34-31 win. The Cardinals won it with a field goal with literally like it was about 30 or 20 seconds left on the clock, and they couldn't spike the ball to stop the clock because they were on fourth down. So they had to get the offense off the field, get the special teams back on the field as well, do it all within like 10 seconds, and got the field goal off and won the game. It was probably one of the like craziest ends to a game I've seen in a while. Um, but Cardinals won, and it was the same old story for the Seahawks losing this game that they couldn't protect. They couldn't protect their quarterback Russell Wilson. He got sacked 6 times.
Mm.
Like that's not good. I mean, and it just kind of showed how streaky the Seahawks can be. That offensive line is becoming such a problem. Like Russell Wilson did throw 4 touchdowns and had 350 yards and didn't turn the ball over. But if you're getting sacked 6 times, it's really going to stunt your offense quite significantly. And I think they're really going to struggle against some good defenses in the NFC that they're going to come up against. I mean, if they come up against the Giants in the playoff, I mean, they're going to get absolutely wrecked because they've got such a good pass rush and all the other teams as well. And it's kind of created a blueprint of how you can beat the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we can maybe give the Seahawks this kind of reliability that we expect from them in the playoffs after that loss, because it's that if it happens once, then you think, all right, they can fix it. But this is like multiple times, and every time they lose, it's because exactly that they can't protect Russell Wilson.
I mean, the Seahawks are still like on the edge of getting like number 3 seed, so they could effectively go to even go to Atlanta, or they could miss out and end up going to Dallas. So if they make it through wildcard weekend, so it's a tough road for them. But the Seahawks have made it like interesting for themselves, seeing as like usually how good they are in December in the past like 4 years, how they've been really hot going into the playoffs, and everyone's talked about them and like such a danger team. But it's just not the same Seahawks team this season. Maybe it's just that NFC West is just, I don't know, completely different, and it's just not that great. But just seems
Yeah,
to be it's just not the same. It's not the same Seattle Seahawks.
yeah, and they're gonna have to do something. I'm struggling to look past Dallas in the NFC at the moment
I mean,
because all the other teams they have.
yeah, the only people I could see for in the NFC. I mean, obviously just because the Giants have beaten them twice. I would say the New York Giants. Also, I mean, either of the two NFC North teams. So if Packers or Stafford comes through, if either of those teams, I mean, I can't really write off Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. I did it last year against when they came
Yeah,
against the Redskins, and that was bad. And Rodgers seems to be playing on at like a really high caliber in this past like few seasons and few weeks, and that he seems to have shaken off that hamstring injury, which was stunting him a little, hindering him a little bit, because he even like you see him running in for the touchdown, even like duked a defender.
yeah,
Going in, which I mean, obviously, if you got a
yeah.
hamstring injury,
That was such a good.
no way you can do that. So I don't know. I still think Packers maybe, but yeah, it's just especially with going back
Yeah,
to the Seahawks Cardinals game. It's weird. It's a weird season for the Cardinals, just being like losing games which is outside the division. Obviously, in the division, they have a better record than the Seahawks. The Seahawks going 2-2-1, and then obviously the Cardinals with that win going 3-1-1. So I mean, if you're winning your division, you really should be hopefully winning on top of it. I mean, you're doing all the crunch games. You're really hoping to pull out results, but the interesting season for the Cardinals. But that NFC West is just the bottom two teams. Obviously, you got the 49ers and the Rams. Just not that great, either of those two teams. And obviously with the 49ers picking up another win. I think their two wins of the season have come up. Against there was the Rams and the Browns.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. So there
yeah.
you go. I mean, like interesting, never to say the least. But yeah, the Cardinals is definitely a season I think they've missed out on. Not really sure what they're going to do with their quarterback with Carson Palmer. But anyway,
I think they would. If I was them, I would stick with Palmer for one more year
mhm.
because there's and maybe draft a guy and start developing him. Because even if Palmer's not playing well, he still, or if he did play well, I think he's still getting old as well, and you want to have a smooth transition. And get a guy in, and a guy that Bruce Arians. I mean, he hasn't had a chance. We haven't seen him draft a quarterback and kind of develop him because Carson Palmer was quite a seasoned veteran already when he came into Arizona. So it'd be interesting to see Bruce Arians get his first pick of the quarterback. I mean, there aren't any quarterbacks in the draft this year that really jump out, and you think this guy's going to be a franchise quarterback. I would say they're quite underwhelming. The quarterbacks. A lot of the quarterbacks that are coming into the draft this year are guys who look good, who are good college quarterbacks, but they turn the ball over so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one, especially with all the free agents hitting, with all the quarterbacks who look like they'll be free agents at the end of the year. Maybe some teams will pick them up.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Browns. Anyway, I'm gonna get on to one of my games, which is one of the games I stayed up to watch. Actually, this is on Christmas Day. The Baltimore Steelers game. I mean, this is like one of the most like one of my favorite rivalries to watch. Because even though I think out of the last it was like out the Steelers were up like 8-6 in wins over the Ravens, but it was still like it goes deep into the postseason, this rivalry as well as in the regular season. But what a game this was! I mean, coming back for the fourth quarter, I mean, there was 31 points scored in the fourth quarter alone. 21 by Pittsburgh, who came back with Big Ben leading themselves a huge comeback. And the Ravens even getting 10. I mean, it was the Steelers going up needed to bring back a couple of touchdowns, and just when you thought the Steelers were ahead, the Ravens go up at the end. The Ravens go up the other end of the field, get their points to move ahead, and then the Steelers come back again, and like the last play of the game was watching Antonio Brown and that was just one of the best. Most like tactically aware and like football IQ, like really high, like into football intelligent plays I've seen. Like the knowledge of where Antonio Brown was on the field and how he knew that because he was so it was basically I think they're on it was like third and it was maybe it's first and goal from the 6 or something with I think like maybe 8 seconds left. Big Ben drops back, and Antonio Brown's running a drag route underneath. And Big Ben hits him in stride, and there's a defender coming off him. Obviously, Antonio Brown's pace goes past him, but then there's 3 different Ravens defenders on him, like tackling him at the one. And if he goes down, that's end of the game. Like the Steelers wouldn't be able to get another playoff. But like he gets stopped before, like on the 1 yard line, and reaches out with his arm to break the plane with the ball and give Steelers the touchdown. And well, I mean, it was one of the best plays I'd seen, simply because he knew where he was, and what would happen if he was tackled at the one. Obviously, Steelers probably wouldn't get another game, the playoff, but. This game, I mean, this rivalry is definitely one that I'm always excited to watch. It's always one of the exciting games, and this one was like such a great one.
Yeah, so I watched this game as well, and I thought the fourth quarter was one of the best fourth quarters I've seen in the NFL this season. It was so exciting to watch. Definitely felt like a playoff game. Showed that why Joe Flacco and Ben Roethlisberger are considered some of the best quarterbacks in the league, but despite the fact they both haven't had their best seasons.
Mhm.
But when it came to the clutch situation in the fourth quarter of a game where you need to win to make the playoff, both of them stepped up and made their plays all right. Ben Roethlisberger just managed to make that extra play because he had one of the best wide receivers to play the game in his team. But what I found interesting is whenever they cut to Ben Roethlisberger on the sideline during the Ravens drive, when they knew that when they were going to come on the pitch, they were going to have about 30 seconds, or I think it's about 58 seconds to win the game with no timeouts. And Roethlisberger looked super chilled on the sideline because they've done it so many times. They've probably been in worse situations and come through and win. And it just shows that if that had been any other quarterbacks, bar maybe like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, or some of that, maybe even Cam Newton as well, you'd be looking at them and they'd be literally shitting themselves in the sideline. He looked so chilled, like he was like, well, we'll probably do it. I'll probably just throw a Hail Mary as well. Like I've got an arm that's big enough to do it. I've got Antonio Brown, he can probably catch it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so many weapons, and like both quarterbacks hitting so many different receivers. I mean, for the Ravens, I mean, you have I think they hit like Joe Flacco hit 9 different receivers in the whole day, I think, and then with Big Ben, he hit 7 different receivers, so they're spreading the ball around a lot. It was just one of like the most exciting games I think I've seen. They were like one of the ones I was really happy I stayed up and watched it because I mean I was thinking of going to bed before the fourth quarter, and then the fourth quarter started, and I was kind of like packing my stuff away, and then Steelers came back with like a touchdown, and then it was a field goal from Justin Tucker, then touchdown for the Steelers, and then I was like, okay, maybe I need to stay and watch this, and yeah, probably one of the best ends to a game I've seen, which led Pittsburgh to win the AFC North. It's the first time in a fair few years they've done it, obviously with the Bengals running it.
Yeah,
the
definitely.
Past 2 or 3 seasons, and this eliminated Baltimore from the AFC. The AFC playoff contention, because they both would have been 9-6, so they would have to fight out in the last week. But yeah, really exciting game, and I'm really glad that I stayed up to watch it.
Yeah, same as well. I thought it was definitely one of the games of the season. I think the Steelers are a team to watch out for in the playoffs. Their offense and their defense is ranked in the top 6 out of all the NFL teams. And I mean, they're always a team that's so experienced that they do well in any scenario in the playoffs. So I think them with the Chiefs is probably the biggest roadblock for the Patriots to reach the playoffs. I think the Patriots are the outright favourites to make the Super Bowl out of the AFC because they've got home advantage the whole way through, and I mean, you can't really see it's difficult to not pick the Patriots now.
I think the Patriots are still front runners in the AFC. But yeah, definitely got some. You can't really count out the Steelers or the Chiefs, to be fair. Just a quick note on the Chiefs. Do you see how Don Terry Poe throwing himself that touchdown? Well, not throwing himself. He threw a touchdown in the Chiefs game. The big defensive lineman who's come in before he came in the Wildcat situation, and I was like, oh, they're definitely running it. And then when I saw him do like the Tebow like jump and throw pass, like it was the funniest thing I'd seen.
Yeah,
it was a bit. Quite embarrassing for the Broncos.
Yeah, well, on that game, this is actually the other game that I was going to talk about, the Chiefs Broncos game, which was a huge win for the Chiefs. They came out and beat the Broncos in Arrowhead Stadium. They really they've been kind of for most of the season kind of bashing them, saying that all right, they're a good defense, they'll grind out wins. But this game was different because they came out and won this game on offense. They were leading 21-7 at half time, and they ended up winning the game 33-10. And most of it was because their offense was playing so well. And I mean, Tyreek Hill has been an absolute revelation for them at running back. He's incredible. Travis Kelce had a really good game. I think for them, most of their offense relied on running game and yards after catch as well. It wasn't like Alex Smith was throwing bombs down the field. Yeah. He had a couple plays as well. He ran really well as well. But I thought that kind of balance that they found on offense worked really, really well. And I think they'll be fine going into the playoffs. with that kind of offense because they do it so well and they do it so consistently. Um, and for the Broncos, I mean, they need to get an offensive line sorted and a decent quarterback because as good as Trevor Simeon's been at points of this season, he's so inexperienced. He hasn't. I don't think he's got the skill set to be a top level quarterback. He's going to carry to the playoffs, and he lacked a run game. He lacked a good protection as well. And yeah, I mean, John Elway kind of looks a bit stupid now after in the off season we were praising him for all the moves he was making, despite the fact that he let a lot of his defense go, and now kind of come back to bite him now. That I think they were definitely missing guys like Malik Jackson in the defense, especially when it comes to run defense, stopping Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, true. I mean, the Chiefs. I think obviously you can't count them out. And especially with this over the Broncos and their defense with this like huge win. Really didn't expect it. And there's a lot of weapons for the Chiefs to have there on offense, and it's one of the most like underrated ones you see because obviously everyone talks about their defense and how good it is, and then how many like playmakers they have there, but they have the equal amount of playmakers now, especially with Tyreek Hill, the addition there on offense, and then as long as they're getting their run game sorted, their pass game is very stellar.
Yeah, I mean they're very good at playing. They're very good at playing situational football, like the Patriots do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mean it's still in the back of our mind. We've got to think about that absolute meltdown they had against the Patriots in the playoffs last year. But I think this is a better Chiefs team that came into the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more players to watch out for as well, especially with Tyreek Hill. I mean, obviously, like, I think he's having it like. I think any other season he would definitely be in maybe the running for Rookie of the Year, but it's just that you have those two players over there in Dallas that is a bit, you know, well, it's a bit tough to have a look past them, but
it's kind of hard to compete when one of the guys who's probably is in the running for Rookie of the Year is also in the running for MVP as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's very Zeke Elliott is very close to breaking was Emmitt Smith's rookie Dallas rushing.
It's Eric Dickerson's rookie running rate.
Sorry.
I think it's 150 yards off it. So,
yeah,
I mean, Jerry Jones said they're willing to give him the carries so he can get the record.
Mm-hmm. Just gonna see how much what the Eagles defense do. Because obviously they wouldn't want it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, just with the Chiefs, they're looking. And I think with the way that the quarterback situation went for Oakland, I think the Chiefs will be looking to get that number 2 seed for sure and make sure the playoffs go through Arrowhead as well. Obviously, being the loudest stadium, it's a really good one as well.
Yeah, you can tell that the home field advantage they have. That a lot of these the quarterbacks top level quarterbacks go into Arrowhead Stadium and really struggle there. And if they can secure,
you can't communicate with your wide receivers if they're out wide. Like you can't, like no one can hear you. Like it's just difficult.
Yeah, seriously, intimidating place. And I mean, we've been talking about the Raiders all year, and I mean, obviously you talk about the Broncos as well. But I mean, the Chiefs have run the table on both these teams. So
yeah, true.
Right, top level team to watch.
I'm gonna move on to my last game, which is the number 6 seed currently in the playoffs for in the AFC, which is your Miami Dolphins. And so they went to Buffalo in the divisional AFC East divisional matchup, and Rex Ryan blew his chance to ice the kicker to before sending it into overtime, and that kind of just which led the Miami Dolphins to have the capability to go into overtime and win the game, which ultimately ended in Rex Ryan and his brother Bob Ryan's being fired as head coach and defensive coordinator from the Bills in the season. And I mean, maybe it's a. I mean, obviously he's still seen and held in high regard here, but I think for the Dolphins here, I mean, it's a difficult defense to play against for sure. But we see he was capable, and that's all you kind of need there in Miami to make like an attempt to go through in the playoffs here. Obviously, Jai another 200 yard game against Rex Ryan's defense, a running back running 200 yards. That's amazing. And obviously we have like obviously loads of coverage over here in the UK with there being with JHI being born in London. So everyone in the UK is happy for him, even though I'm not really sure how English or British he would be.
There's going to be so much hype over him when he comes to London next year.
Oh, I know, yeah. With the Dolphins as well. I mean, the Dolphins, I think, because I think for any team, if they had a British player, and for that team then to come over to Britain, then I think a lot more fans who are picking up the game here over in the UK, they might pick the Dolphins as a team to root for.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, you do. There's quite a lot of Dolphins fans over in the UK. They seem to have
Already, yeah,
quite a good
it was back in like the 80s and
70,
and 70s. Yeah, they made a huge push over here in the UK, didn't they?
and they had a lot of people. You get a lot of Dan Marino fans over here as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, whenever Dan Marino was, that's when the main thing. But anyway, back to this game. Yeah, I'm just going over basically the issue here for the Bills was, I mean, they came back in the game effectively. I mean, they were down. I mean, in the last bit of the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, they put up 17 points. Coming back from being behind under the Dolphins. It's only the Dolphins going up the field and getting a field goal at the end of the fourth quarter to level the game up, to push it into overtime, which was like a botched botched time management by Rex Ryan. But I mean, we've seen times when
he also forgot,
yeah, go on.
he also forgot to put 11 players on the pitch at one point.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can understand how people. There was a lot of hype when he came to Buffalo, being like, "Oh, got him in. We can get his defense up." Already good defense in Buffalo. Just need that some offensive-minded coach going there to really bring out the best in Buffalo here. But he hasn't really been able to change them into a winning team. I mean, obviously they're 7-8 right now, and then coming up against the Jets, and he doesn't even get to go to the Jets, to his old team, to play in the last game because he's been fired. So, um, I mean, unfortunate of him. But the Dolphins, I mean, I really like the Dolphins this season. They're slowly becoming more and more of my like more favored teams. Obviously, in the AFC, I'm more likely to pick a team in the AFC that I like than the NFC, obviously, because like my Panthers being the NFC. But the Dolphins are pushing their way forward, and um, it's good, it's interesting, and like fun to watch them really. Obviously, handing the ball off to JHI a lot, and what a thing he's had. I mean, I think like breakout player of the year. Um, I can't really think of anyone else who would deserve it really. Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'd say as well
I
because I
mean,
mean
Derek
he
Carr
wasn't
obviously
he was
even
kind of
Derek, but I mean, I think he's definitely up there.
yeah, yeah, I'd say definitely JJ because he was very much a fringe roster player coming into the season, and he's also had I think it's three 200 yards games this season, which is an NFL record as well.
Uh huh.
So he's had a quality season, and I think he needed a huge game going into the playoffs because he tailed off a bit in the last couple of weeks. It's huge for him. He's got another 200-yard game under his belt, and they'll go in raring going into the playoffs. All right, yeah, they've got to go to they've got the Patriots next week. That'll be quite an interesting test to see where the Dolphins are actually at when they come up against a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
Whether the Patriots, if they get absolutely smashed by the Patriots next weekend, I give them no hope going into the playoffs. But if they can get a close game against the Patriots next week, I'd say they'll go in with a bit of confidence that it looks like that their matchup's going to be going to Pittsburgh for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a really really tough thing for them. But I think for them it's just happy that I think it's the first time in 17 seasons they've made the playoffs. So
Yeah.
good for them.
Yeah. Congrats, Dolphins. And should we move on to our predictions for this week? We'll just go through it really
Yep.
quickly, as there's not that much that can change here in this I mean, the rankings in the draft order, sure, that can change. Although in the like we said before, in the NFC, there's technically two more teams who get into the playoffs. But anyway, here we go. Start up with the first game. So these are all the games which are happening all on Sunday, and and then really exciting Sunday Night Football, which is one I might be tempted to watch. Um, Here we starting up. We have the Ravens traveling to the Bengals. I mean, for these games at the end of the season, they're kind of dud games for me, especially if you haven't made the playoffs. It's kind of like if you lose, it's not really that bad because maybe if a team around you win, then you get a better pick in the draft. But at the same time, this is a divisional game. Both teams will be wanting to win, so they can talk smack to everyone else in their division on all these different rivals here. But for me, I still I still want the Ravens to pick up a winning record this season, so I'll pick them in this game.
I think I'm going to go for the Bengals. I think the Bengals they want to salvage as much pride as possible from this season. They tried it against the Steelers where they went really close, and then the Steelers just kind of turned it up a notch in the second half. And I think the Bengals I mean, they still have playmakers. They've just been really unlucky with injuries this year, and they've missed letting a couple guys go in free agency really hit them hard on offense. But I think they'll have enough to beat the Ravens, and I think they'll try and go out with a win, and then what I think will probably be Marvin Lewis's last season next year.
Oh yeah,
for the Bengals.
Oh, we'll see how it turns out. Right, moving on to the next game. Here we have the Texans at the Titans. This potentially, if the Titans didn't lose to the Jags, I think could have been for the AFC South, which would have been a very interesting game to see. And I did want the Titans to win, but unfortunately, Marcus Mariota was injured in the last game. Not that they were going to win if he was on the pitch because they were still down by a lot. And the Texans obviously having their quarterback, was it Tom Savage starting? So I mean, I will the Texans in this one. They still have something to play. So yeah, I still have something. They have still something to play for. They technically get the number 3 seed if results go their way. So they'll be playing for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think I'll go Texans in this game as well. I think the Titans will be really down after losing a playoff spot and losing their quarterback as well to quite a serious injury. He's out for a couple months. They said he'll be back for OTAs, but that'll be. But I mean, also I think that the Titans they can go. I mean, last season I think they won 2 games last year, and they won. I mean, they'll be 7-9 I think this season or something. Like, yeah, 7-9. So they can finish the season quietly confident. They've got a lot. Not even the win. I think they've got a lot of draft picks next season. They've got a lot of good. They've got a good offensive line in place. They've got some good. They've got a good running game going. They've got a few solid defensive players. If they can get a couple wide receivers and a few playmakers on defense, I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with next season.
Yeah, young team. Right, move on to the next game. Here we have my Panthers traveling to the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are still technically in the playoff hunt. I think for the Panthers, just a quick note. Greg Olsen is the only tight end ever in NFL history to have 3 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons. So props to him with all the other like amazing tight ends there are and have been in the NFL to have like something like that. I mean, like who
it's impressive.
I mean, yeah, like, I'm just saying. Props to.
If Gronk wasn't injured all the time, I reckon he could get it as well.
Yeah, but I mean, the injuries come into it, so he's not as good as Greg, clearly. But yeah, in this game, the Bucs still have something to play for. The Panthers are just out of it. There's nothing much really that the Panthers play for here. Hopefully, get a decent draft pick and shore up some of the many holes we have in our roster, which were exposed. I've got the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bucs as well. I think they'll try and get a win here and put themselves in position to maybe make the playoffs. I say it's highly unlikely, but again, the Bucs are another team who can go into the off season happy with what they've done this season. I think a key for them will be maybe adding a few more pieces on defense, and then also just working on Jameis Winston. That he really struggles in kind of clutch situations. There was a lot of against the Saints. He was shouting at his players quite a lot for missing plays that they weren't going to get anyway, but he was getting pointlessly upset on the sidelines. And I think they just need to work on him, kind of working on his mental strengths when it comes to difficult situations. But I think in terms of a skill set, I think they've found a very good quarterback.
Yeah, obviously another young team there, the young quarterback they can build around there for the Bucs. I mean, I think that they'll definitely rue their chance. They've had the opportunity to win the NFC South this year, but that yeah, they're a young team, and they'll be looking to press forward next on in the next season. Right, Browns at Steelers. Although the Browns won last week, I'm the Steelers here for me. Pretty obvious this one. So I've got the Steelers so as well. All right, moving on to the who are the Cowboys at the Eagles. So this actually has some interesting connotations. Obviously, the Zeke Elliott's up for the running record here, and I think the Cowboys still like if they got number one seed wrapped up, but I'm not really sure what they'll do here. I mean, they could not even play Dak. They couldn't even play Romo. I mean, depends whatever they want. I mean, I'm not really sure if they're playing Dak. I mean, I've got the Cowboys, but if they're not, then I'll pick the Eagles. Really.
I think I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I think they will play Dak because I think they'll want him because he's a rookie. They want to give him as much experience as possible.
Yeah.
And I think they'll want to keep him in. He's shown to be quite durable, so I can't see him going into this game and getting an injury. And they'll want to keep that momentum going.
Definitely. Right. Moving on. The Jets. Well, the Bills travel to the New York Jets in a game which is very insignificant. But seeing as the Bills are slightly the better. Actually, you know what? Fitzpatrick starting. I'm gonna pick him.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with the Jets as well because
nice.
the Bills are going to sit Tyrod Taylor because it seems to be Rex Ryan is the only one that knows that Tyrod Taylor is a talented quarterback, and the GM in Buffalo seems adamant that EJ Manuel is still a good quarterback, and they want to start him instead. So they're gonna realize what EJ Manuel is.
All right, okay. Well, we'll end up seeing that. All right, Bears at Vikings, a game which hopefully the Vikings can snap their like horrifically terrible last part of the season. So I've got the Vikings in this one.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think the Vikings will win. I think Matt Barkley has shown that he's not a very good quarterback, and the Bears haven't got. They're just struggling so much. I could even see John Fox getting fired, maybe.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how like it gets changed up over the next year, with if Jay Cutler's going to be there or not. I mean, who knows where he'll end up going to. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to
maybe he'll be on TV.
Yeah, maybe he'll become the new member of Between the Numbers. What a dream that would be. Going from NFL to this, right? Jaguars at Colts. The Colts, I don't know. Yeah, let's go for them. Like, I don't understand the Jags this season. I don't understand the Colts this season either. But I'll go for Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Andrew Luck as well.
Right. Then potentially the last of the afternoon games, we have your Patriots traveling to Miami to find out what will happen here. I'll give you guys the win here. I mean, I don't think that the Dolphins without Tannehill will pick up a win here, so I'll pick the Pats.
I'm going to go Pats as well. I think the Dolphins will go close as they always do, but I think the Patriots are in a very good spot at the moment. The offense is doing surprisingly well without having Gronk in there. So I think they'll come out and get a win and roll on and pretty much run I reckon they're going to run the table and probably maybe go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean they're front runners for it, I think definitely. I mean the next team, the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously wanted to do something about that. They travel to San Diego, which this could potentially be the last game in San Diego, although it's not looking very likely that it would be because they haven't really come to an agreement with the NFL about moving to LA. But even so, I've got the Chiefs in this one. They're looking to pip the Raiders to that number one spot in the AFC West. So I've got the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going to go Chiefs as well in this game. I think they've got a lot more than San Diego. I mean, San Diego couldn't even beat the Browns, so.
True. That's true. Right, Cardinals travel to LA Rams. I got the Cardinals in this one. They'll finish the season like pretty strong, but they'll still have a very disappointing season from their point of view.
You know what? I'm going to go just to change things up. Maybe go for the Rams. Have a final.
Okay.
Final season we are playing in LA.
All right. Raiders at Broncos. Obviously, the Raiders don't have their quarterback. They'll be playing with Matt McGloin. So I think the Broncos will want to take this away from them. And I don't know, it'd be quite funny to see the Raiders fans' reaction when they don't win the AFC West.
Yeah, that would be funny. But I could see the Raiders winning because they've got good pass rush. And the Broncos, that offensive line is so bad.
The Broncos have good pass rush.
Yeah, but the Raiders have got such a good offensive line, and when they beat the Broncos last time out, it wasn't because of Derek Carr. They just ran the football really well, and I think they could do that again, like the
True.
Chiefs did. Um, and Matt McGloin just needs to manage the game, I think.
True. True. All right.
But I don't think it's going to help in the playoffs.
hmm Moving on to the NFC East, your favorite matchups. This actually has connotation because the Redskins technically can go to into the playoffs here with a win, and I think because the Giants have got the fifth seed on lockdown, they wouldn't really care if the Redskins do or don't make it because I don't expect them. They don't expect them to make it. So I got the Skins in this one because they'll want to be putting pressure on Detroit in that last game.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's in Washington as well, so I think the Redskins they'll find a way to win this game and possibly make the playoffs.
All right, for the final three regular season predictions. Yeah, I know for this season, super emotional guys. I know we have the Seahawks at the 49ers. Um, I wouldn't even be surprised if the 49ers won, but would they go? Would they go ahead? Oh, they still have a worse record than Chicago. I'll pick the Seahawks there. They're gonna want to go into the end with a victory here.
Yeah, they're gonna
All right, yeah. Moving on. Finally, we have second, we have the Saints at Falcons. Falcons, who have really under the radar here, gone to number 2 seed in the NFC, having that divisional that week one. And they'll go 11-5, I think here because I think they'll pick up the win against the New Orleans Saints.
I think they will win as well. I think Matt Ryan is also for me. I think it could be between him and Brady for MVP if you're looking at performance over his past season. And I think if he puts up a big win here against the Saints, maybe it could be slightly ahead. But yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, final game of the season. This is actually one which has connotations here. We have the Packers going into Detroit, trying to push Detroit out of the playoffs and giving them the number 4 seed, which I do believe in I believe in the Packers, and I don't think Matthew Stafford's gonna be able to take Detroit to the playoffs this season, and they'll fall to a 9-7 record, but just miss out on the playoffs.
I'm going to go with I think the game's going to be a shootout. A lot of offense in this game.
Who you going for the Lions? Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think that means that what we have next year, what I think we're gonna have is we're gonna have Oakland traveling to or next week we'll have Oakland traveling to Houston, the Dolphins traveling to Pittsburgh in the AFC, and then we'll have the New England sorry, no, the New York Giants at the Green Bay Packers, and I think it's gonna be the Redskins at the Seahawks, but that's just me. I think that draws to a conclusion the end of the podcast here, guys. And this is finally week, so this is going to be the last one of the regular season. Obviously, we'll review the regular season next week and see how much we got this wrong and how badly we did. I mean, I know that obviously I had the Panthers winning the division and 6-10. A little bit off, but anyway, guys, we'll enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll catch you in the new year. Hopefully, 2017 will be a little bit better than 2016. I had a tough one for the Panthers, but here we go. Hopefully, 2017 is a little bit better and more exciting. But until then, guys, have a good new year.